What's up everyone, this is Champion 2D Rob back again with another video, and I thought this time I would do a pickups video, but I'm just going to keep it to my PlayStation 4 pickups. I was planning to integrate my retro game pickups into this video, but I decided not to for two reasons. One, there's so much PlayStation 4 games I have to show you here, and two, I'm just still waiting on a couple of items for my retro games that are coming, so I just thought I would just hold off and do a specific pickup video with my retro game pickups. So today is just going to be basically all my PlayStation 4 games that I've picked up over the past year. So from when I stopped doing YouTube vids. So I kind of stopped doing YouTube vids around April of last year, end of April last year. So naturally I've been picking up games since May all the way up until now. So I just thought I would show you guys what I picked up, but also because of the sort of the large time frame, I'm actually going to be able to talk about some of these games properly because I actually have completed a few of these games. So, you know, it will allow, this is really more of an excuse to just talk about specific games, let you know my thoughts on these games, you know, because I've just got a lot to say on them, and I think some of them are really worth playing. So anyway, I'm going to start with my most recent pickup, and this is the game that I'm actually currently playing at the moment. And the game is Resident Evil 3. And this is the lenticular edition. Yeah, so I've just started playing this game. At the moment, I don't have much to say on it because I'm only like maybe an hour or so into the game, so it's still very early. I've literally just started it pretty much, and we'll see what this one's going to be like. I'm actually really looking forward to completing this game because the original Resident Evil 3 was actually my favourite game in the series. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this one has. Next game I have here is Valkyria Chronicles Remastered. This is the second time I've actually bought this game. I've had this game now 3 times. I've triple dipped on this game. I have the original PS3 game. This is the remastered version, which I've not played. It's still sealed. But I also have a digital copy of this game on the Switch. It's a fantastic game. I love playing this game. It's a tactical RPG, a 3D based one. And it's part of a great series. If you like your tactical RPGs, it's definitely one to check out. Next game I have here, and this one is honestly a title that, like, I just wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, and that is God of War. Now, honestly, guys, most of you that have watched my videos for a long time know that I've been a big fan of the God of War series. I've played all the previous games so many times. That includes the PSP games. Like, I've played them all. I love them. But to be perfectly honest with you, after God of War Ascension, which was the last game that sort of came out on PS3, I kind of felt that the series got quite stale. So when they sort of announced they were going to make a new God of War game, if I was perfectly honest with you, I was not excited for it. In fact, throughout this whole game's production, I just didn't really care that much. Like, I just kind of, it was there, I knew it was happening, but I wasn't excited about it whatsoever. And when I started finding out more about the game, the fact that they kind of changed the viewpoint, we're trying to switch it up. You know, I heard that it was now going to be more about Norse mythology as opposed to Greek mythology. Again, I just didn't really care that much. You know, even after watching footage of the game, like, I still didn't care that much. But, you know, it's definitely a game that appealed to me to some degree. You know, because of I played the previous games, so I wanted to check it out. And what made me want to buy it was because after I heard all the sort of glowing reviews, you know, it was definitely sort of worth checking out. So I went and bought it. Played it, obviously. I've completed this game. I've fully completed it, and I have to say this game was fucking fantastic. Like, it caught me completely off guard. I didn't think it was gonna work. I thought the fact that they kind of changed the camera view, I thought it was just gonna just completely change the game for the worse, and I was absolutely wrong. This game is amazing. Like, I mean, I can't talk too much about the game itself without giving away spoilers, but I'll just say that the story was awesome. The older version of Kratos is just a fantastic idea. I love what they've done to him. They've added layers to him. You know, that's about as much as I can say about him, really, because I don't want to sort of give away too much, but they just did so much that the last game, Ascension, just didn't do. You know, the Ascension was a fun game. You know, it was beautiful. You know, it was cool, but it just did nothing new. It was just completely by the numbers. But this game, they completely switched it up, and the storyline was excellent. The gameplay was amazing. Like, the gameplay is what really stood out for me in this game. Like, I felt powerful playing this game. Like, this is definitely how you do an action hack and slash type of game with a story. I mean, honestly, this game just floored me. I was not expecting it to be this good, and it just amazed me. It was a fantastic game, and I'm looking forward to doing a second playthrough of this. What an amazing game! Next up I have here is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Now, if you've seen my Switch collection video, you know that I picked up a copy for the Switch, but I actually bought this one first before I bought the Switch copy, and the reason why I did that was because I heard this was the better version of the game. Apparently the Switch version had issues, and it had like a crappy frame rate, and they were having all sorts of bugs and whatnot was going on with the Switch version. So I decided to go for this version first. It wasn't until they kind of said that they were patching the Switch version and now it runs a lot better and whatnot, I opted to go for the Switch version as well. But that's only because I have Curse of the Moon on the Switch as a physical copy, and I just wanted to have both games on the same system. That's really the reason why I opted to go for the Switch version. But this was the version I went for initially, and I actually played this game. I put a few hours into it. I've not completed it because I'll be perfectly honest with you, like, these sorts of games, these sort of Metroid, Castlevania style of games, as much as I enjoy them, I'm not that good at them. Like, I can get quite far in them, but I struggle a lot. And this is no different. Like, I died a lot in this game, you know. I get to a point and then I'm just like stuck because I just can't beat a certain boss or a certain enemy, or I just don't have enough energy or enough weapons, and it's tough for me, but I do enjoy them. And yeah, so I just wanted to get the best version at the time, and that's why I have this version. Next one I have here, and this is Street Fighter, the 30th Anniversary Edition. Again, I actually bought this quite recently. I actually had the Switch version first, but because I'm just such a fan of Street Fighter 2, I just wanted access to the games at any point, whether I've set up my Switch or not, because I rarely ever play my Switch docked, just because I don't really have space to dock it, really. So whenever I want to play it on the big TV, I just thought I would buy this version. It was cheap. That was basically also the my reason for picking it up, because it was actually very cheap as well. So that's why I had that. Next one I have here, the Sega Mega Drive Classics Collection. Pretty much the exact same reasons I've just given about Street Fighter. I have it already on the Switch, but I wanted access to it on the PS4 in case I wanted to just have a quick go on something, and that's pretty much why I bought it. But definitely check them out, guys, if you haven't. Next one I have here, and this is one that definitely intrigued me because I'm such a fan of the IP, and that is Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. Now, this is actually a game that I'm currently playing at the moment. I'm actually about a good few hours into this game. I've probably spent about 5 hours into this game, 5-6 hours. So I'm quite far into it, and it's basically an action beat 'em up RPG. I've not played the Yakuza series, but I've been told this is basically like a reskinned Yakuza game. Essentially, you move around in a hub world, so you're like in this big city, and you can move around however you want. You come up against enemies, you take them down, but you can also do like odd jobs, and you can gamble in casinos and stuff. It is story driven. There is a storyline that kind of follows the story more or less from the manga, but it's really cool. It's a cool game. I will say though, you can tell it's not a game with a particularly large budget. Like the graphics are nice and clean, but it's really not that impressive for a PS4 game. It just kind of looks like a high res PS3 game. Um, but that's not really taking anything away from it, because the game itself does play great. And if you're a fan of Fist of the North Star, you'll definitely get enjoyment out of this game. If you're not really a fan of Fist of the North Star, I don't really see what this game will give you, because if you want to play this kind of game, I imagine the Yakuza series are a lot better, just because there's more depth of story and whatnot. But it's basically the same sort of thing. It's a cool game, and for someone like myself who's a fan, it's worth picking up. But for someone who's not, if you're not a fan, I would definitely not sort of spend full money on this game. I'd probably wait until it was like really, really cheap. But for myself, I felt it was worth getting. Next one I have here, and this is The Walking Dead, the Telltale Definitive series. Now, what this is basically all the previous Walking Dead Telltale games together on one disc. And thankfully, it's not a season pass. They are all on the disc. And and I have to say, guys, playing it like this, because I actually played through it, like I played each game one after the other until I fully completed it, was amazing. I absolutely loved it. And I can also thankfully say there was next to no bugs, because the titles previously, when they were individual, there was loads of bugs, like things sticking out, pop-ups, glitches. Sometimes I had to reset the mission, whatnot. But thankfully, they did a stellar job with this. I believe this was actually developed by Skybound. Because Telltale went under, Skybound, which is actually the development company that's run by oh, I forgot his name now. Basically, the guy that created the Walking Dead comics, they kind of re-got the game license back, brought back some of the old staff that got laid off, so they could finish the final game in the series. And I imagine after that, they kind of put them to work and sort of redid and rejigged up all the previous games and put them in this fantastic collection. So if you've not played any of the Telltale Walking Dead games, this is honestly the best way to do it, guys. I highly recommend checking out these games, as there's some great stories here and some decent fun gameplay elements. I mean, it's not really that immersive as a game, it's a point and click, but not really. So, but the gameplay is minimal. I mean, you really are kind of just watching the story, and every now and again you kind of interact. It's worth pointing that out, but otherwise it's fantastic, and it's definitely sort of one of the best things that anyone's done with an IP. It's brilliant. I love the story, I love the characters, and this is definitely the definitive way to play these games. So yeah. Okay, the next one I have here is A Plague Innocence. This is a game I've yet to play. It's still sealed. I just looked up gameplay of this. It looked fascinating. It's kind of like a third person. It's kind of a stealth game. So if you're not into stealth games, it's probably not for you. But essentially, it's set in the medieval times, sort of during the Black Plague, and essentially you're this sort of girl that's trying to protect her little brother, and you have to kind of sneak your way around soldiers and all sorts. But obviously, because you're a young person, you can't take on these soldiers, so you have to kind of sneak by them using various tricks and whatnot. And you also have to protect your little brother as well. It's kind of an escort mission, but the whole game is essentially like an escort mission. But you also have to deal with rats that carry the plague, so you have to keep them away from you and your little brother. And you don't really have any weapons. You've just got like a torch, like a flaming torch, and some rocks and stuff. So it really is about trying to maneuver yourself without being detected, because you can't face anyone directly. But obviously, as the game progresses, you do get kind of like better weapons, I say that loosely. But that's just basically from what I've seen. I've yet to play it. I'm really looking forward to playing this. This does look really good. It seems to have a really good storyline. And it's just one of those games that not a lot of people talk about, but it's definitely worth checking out, guys. Next one I have here is Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition. I've got Horizon Zero Dawn, the previous one. I just wanted to get this because this has the added DLC stuff. Even though I've actually put hours into the original game, I did sort of get sidetracked, so I kind of need to go back to it and play it again. Pretty much start over, because I did put a lot of hours into it. I was about 8 hours into this game, and then I just sort of got sidetracked with other stuff. So I do want to go back to it, and I definitely want to check out the DLC as well. I opted to get this version as well because it was quite cheap. I got this for about a tenner or so. So yeah, that's why. Next one I have here is the Resident Evil Origins collection. Nothing really to say. I just wanted to have Resident Evil 1 Remake and Resident Evil 0 on the PS4. So that's why I bought it. I'll get around to it at some point. Also picked up Resident Evil 4. Now there seems to be talk that they're going to remake Resident Evil 4, but I want to make sure I complete the original because I've actually never done that. I've actually played the game quite a few times on various systems, but I've never completed it, so I kind of want to get that done before the remake comes out. Next game I have here, and this is a fantastic game, and that is the Resident Evil 2 remake. I was so excited for this game, and it totally lived up. Absolutely loved it. I played through it now, I think 3 times. So I've done the Claire A storyline, I've done the Leon A storyline, and I think I did the Leon B storyline. So I still need to do the Claire one, but it's fantastic. Absolutely lived up in my opinion. There were some issues I had with it. I think it would have been nicer if there had been more interactions between Claire and Leon throughout the game. And also when you're playing as the second character after you've played through one character, nothing much changes, which I think would have been better if they'd sort of done more changes, so it doesn't just feel like you're repeating the same game. But otherwise, I thought it was fantastic. I absolutely loved this game, and it's definitely reinvigorated my excitement for the Resident Evil series. So, yeah. Next one I have here is Detroit Become Human. Been meaning to play this now for a while. Heard loads of good things. I was a fan of what was the game called? The first one that came out. Now I can't remember what it was, but there was Beyond Two Souls, and then there was the other one, and I completely forgot what it's called. But anyway, I loved that first game. I thought it was fantastic. I really did. I love I mean, this is one of those sort of games where it's sort of point and click kind of games. But I love the fact that you kind of play as multiple characters, and you can actually lose your character in it. And if your character dies, the story continues without them. So there really is that sense of urgency to keep your characters alive. There's also a lot of replay value as well, because you'll see different endings depending on which of your characters live till the end. So it's a great concept, and I definitely look forward to checking this one out as well. Next one I have here is Red Dead Redemption 2. Honestly, I kind of regret buying this game from new. This is the special edition. And I did put some hours into it. I played about 3 hours into it, and then I basically wound up losing all my gear, all my weapons, and I didn't know how to get them back, and I just got pissed off and I just turned it off. I just got frustrated. I'm going to come back and play this game because I absolutely love the original Red Dead. Like, it's one of my favorite games, the original one, and I was really excited for this game. But I kind of felt they added so much stuff to it, to the point where I kind of feel like it's a bit overwhelming. It's just so much things that you have. I don't know if some people might say you don't really have to do it, like cooking your food and stuff like that. But like, I just sometimes, less is more, and I liked the original game You know, because even though there was a lot of stuff you could do, it didn't overwhelm me with so much little shit. You know, it just dealt with the big picture. And this game just really goes in deep with like a lot of stuff that you can do. But I'll definitely I'm gonna give this game another go. But I need to be in the mood for it, because it's like I say, like I put 3 hours into it, and it pissed me off. It did. It really annoyed the crap out of me. But I will go back to it. Next game I have here is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now this is another game. This is a game I've since completed. I was really looking forward to this game because I really loved the first game. The second game at this point in time, I've actually just completed it second time around. But prior to at the time of buying this game, I'd only played it once, and I didn't really have a high opinion of it. So I was hoping this game was going to be better, and unfortunately, it's not. It is a good game. Don't get me wrong. This is a very good game, but I just felt like it was missing a lot. They kind of, I think what might have happened with the previous games is the fans sort of complained and said like they wanted less action and more exploration, more solving tombs and whatnot. And I guess the developers kind of took it to heart. Although I think this was actually developed by a different studio. Yes, this was developed by, I think it was developed by a different studio than the previous two. But I guess they kind of wanted to focus more on exploration. And there are times where it just feels kind of empty. Like you feel like it needs a bit more action. Yeah, so there was just times where I don't know, the game kind of felt unfinished, because it was like I was going through massive levels and there was like nothing going on in them, so it got kind of dull at points. But I will give this a second playthrough as well, because as I've become to realise with the second game was that after playing it a second time, I was actually unfairly harsh on it, and I've actually realised that second game, Rise of the Tomb Raider, was actually really good. I think I was just too tough on it, because the first one was just a great game. So maybe I'll feel the same way once I've played this a second time. But yeah, you know, it's a fun game. You know, it is a good game, but just be aware that they definitely kind of switched it up a bit more for this one. But I will say though, it's a beautiful game. It looks amazing. It's fantastic. Next one here I have is Samurai Shodown, and I mean, I love SNK fighting games, and when they announced this, at first I was a bit hesitant. I wasn't too sure if this game was going to live up, but I decided to take a chance on it, and yeah, I love it. It's fantastic, plays great, looks great. I'm loving the added characters, and what was really cool was that they actually, the initial season pass for this first set of games, they made it free for people, which I thought was cool. Maybe they intended to add more characters and they just didn't have the time, so they let it out for people for free. It was for a limited time, but that was a cool thing for them to do. But it's an awesome title, and if you're into your fighters, it's definitely one of the better ones, and definitely one you should check out. Right, I got to get a sip of the coffee. That's better. Okay, next one I have here, and this is a game I'm actually also currently on my second playthrough. I absolutely love this game, but I do have some things to mention about it. And the game I'm talking about is Days Gone. Now, I'm actually going to tell you guys, this is probably one of my favourite games on PS4. Seriously, like, I love it so much. Like I say, I'm currently on my second playthrough. I'm actually nearly done with it. I'm playing it on New Game Plus. So essentially, you know, I get to have all my weapons, and my motorbike is maxed out from the very beginning. But I really just enjoyed this game. It's a post-apocalyptic, open world sandbox type of game. But what makes it so cool is that essentially you are in like a zombie-filled world. You have to go from various places. You have to look after your bike. You have to improve your bike. You get given all these weapons, but the main selling point about this game is facing down the hordes. And what the hordes are essentially are hundreds and hundreds of these zombie type creatures huddled together in caves and stuff, and you have to basically kill them all without obviously getting killed yourself. You get given various weapons, bombs, traps that you can set, but it is tricky and it can get quite scary and quite tense. Like, your adrenaline is definitely going through you when you're facing down these hordes. I mean, the hordes do vary in sizes. Some of them are only like 20 at the most, but then you deal with some that are like 100. And it is crazy. It is proper crazy. If you know how to, if you use your tactics well, there are actually quite easy ways to take them out. But most people won't do that. Most people will do it the fun way, which is to get them to chase you. And having hundreds of these things chasing after you is definitely a tense thing to happen. But aside from that, yeah, it's so much fun. But there are issues, unfortunately, with this game that I have to address. And that's essentially is, now, personally speaking, I didn't experience a lot of bugs, but there are bugs in this game. And some people have experienced much worse bugs than me. I mean, I didn't buy this game straight away, so there was a few patches prior to me playing. And they have since patched it even more. So you may not experience as many bugs now, but this game was definitely rough around the edges. And there was one instance where I was about to face down this boss creature in a cave, and he didn't show up, and I couldn't get out of the mission, so I had to restart the mission again for him to show up. So there are things like that happening, but like I say, I only experienced that once. But aside from that, probably the most common thing I experienced was frame rate drops, especially when you're on your motorcycle and you're speeding along. There were moments where it kind of just sort of started chugging and it kind of slowed down for a bit. But I think if these developers learn their lessons from this game and they get around to a sequel, I think it will be awesome. I think it's going to be fantastic, because I really did enjoy this game. I really did. And I'll be playing this more than twice. I mean, like I say, I'm nearly done with it a second time, but I'll be playing this game again because I just find it so much fun. And the main character, Deacon St. John, one of my favourite game characters. I mean, for me, he's up there with like Joel from The Last of Us. I just really like him. And it's just something about being a biker in a post-apocalyptic world. I don't know, that just really appeals to me. Yeah. But yeah, really great game. Give it a chance, guys, if you haven't, because it really is awesome. No. Next one I have here is next game I have here is SpiderMan. This is another game. I've actually played through this now twice, and I mean, you've heard it already. It's fantastic. It really is. It's very similar to the Batman Arkham games in sort of the way the battle mechanics work, but obviously in a Spider-Man sort of way and not a Batman kind of way. But the combat mechanics are very similar, and I loved it though. It was a beautiful game, really, really beautiful looking game. Probably the only criticism I have with the graphics, I think the character models, the faces are a bit off to me. I don't think they look very good. But aside from that, like when he's in the suit and stuff, it's fantastic. The web mechanics are amazing. Some of the missions are pretty cool. I mean, from an open world sandbox kind of game, I mean, there is going to be an element of repetitiveness. But ultimately, this is a fun game, and you don't just play as Spider-Man. You can actually play as Mary Jane, Spider-Man's girlfriend, as well as Miles Morales, who's like another Spider-Man character. Their missions are a bit, because they're more stealth missions, whereas Spider-Man's obviously where the real fun is. It can be tricky in places, especially with some of the boss fights, but ultimately it's a really fun game. The control mechanics do take some getting used to, which I think is why I decided to play it a second time, because the first time I played the game I did kind of struggle with the controls, but by the end of the game I got really good at it. So I decided to play it again a second time, and I definitely had way more fun the second time because now I was used to it more, and yeah, it just flowed better for me. But this is definitely one of the best games on PS4, so don't let it pass you by. Next one I have here is The Witcher 3 Game of the Year Edition. Haven't played it yet. This is actually a rebuy. I did have a copy of it before, and I wound up selling it to a friend of mine just because I tried to play it once, couldn't get on with it. Reason why I rebought it was because I saw the Witcher TV show on Netflix, and it really got me invested into the world. So I decided I wanted to give this game another chance. Plus, the game is also pretty cheap now, so I'll definitely be getting around to this when I can. Okay, second to last game here is Terminator Resistance. This is sort of one of my more recent purchases, so I've actually not been able to play this yet. Now, I've heard a lot of mixed things on this game. Some people say it's a decent game, others say it's a piece of shit. I'm looking forward to trying it out. It's not really the kind of game I go for. It's a first-person shooter, which is not really what I go for. But the thing is, I'm a really big fan of Terminator, especially the first two movies. Like, I love them. And I've just, from what I've seen and what I've heard, this game is there's a lot of nods and definitely a lot of attention to detail in terms of what they added from those films. And some people say that if you're a fan of Terminator, that you're really going to enjoy the game. But like I say, the opinions on this game have been really split, so I look forward to giving the game a go and forming my own opinion. And finally, this is an awesome game. I only played it through once, but I'm looking forward to playing it again, and that's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I was really looking forward to this game. I couldn't wait for this game to come out. I got right on it the minute I got it through the door. Played it, struggled with it at first, because a lot of people compare this game to kind of like a Star Wars version of Dark Souls, just because the combat, it's not just a hack and slash. Like, you really need to think about how you take down, like, even a regular stormtrooper is tricky, and you need to think about your hits. You can't just go in there wielding your lightsaber and expect to get anywhere, because you won't. You need to think about how you take down your enemies, and it's really cool. It's once you get used to it, once you learn to block, parry, you'll eventually start getting really good at the game. And there's some awesome exploration mechanics as well. There's a bit of Uncharted in this game, which I really do like. And I played through it and found it to be a fantastic game. This is probably one of my favourite Star Wars games I've ever played, and definitely one of my favourite games on the PlayStation 4. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and I recommend it. It's fantastic, and it'll definitely give you a challenge, guys, because it did for me. It really did for me. There were some points where it was like infuriatingly difficult, but if you persevere, you will get through it. And yeah, it was fantastic. Totally lived up. So that's it. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Like I say, there will be another pickups video. The next one is going to be very retro game focused. As soon as a couple more games show up, I will be showing that video as soon as possible. But other than that, thanks very much for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the games. If any of you guys played any of these games, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Okay, until the next time, bye-bye.